apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730. Welcome to Divided We Stand. I'm Joe McGuire. He is James Battisti. We appreciate you joining us for a factual, informative show where we're going to be discussing things like voting rights, which is a very important issue in this country for a number of reasons and from a number of different angles. We're going to delve into that. We're going to discuss term limits, the benefits they would have. I don't know what the negative part is. Maybe we'll figure that out as well. We also want to discuss Brett Kavanaugh, who has sided with the liberals and John Roberts on a number of key issues. The reason we want to get into this is, what is he doing? Does he have something bigger in mind? We'll talk about that. And of course, because we need a laugh tonight, we will talk about the possibility of the return of Hillary Clinton. James, thank you for being here tonight. I think in many ways, the Hillary Clinton thing is all in your mind, but I'm willing to hear it out. You know me. I'm a very
Are we going to start with person. Hillary? Because let's do this.
So no, I want to wait. We'll get to Hillary. We'll keep the fiction for the latter part of the show.
Roger that.
So, you and I have discussed a lot of issues, and as we found, we think we actually agree on a lot more things than we think we're going to agree on, and so we like to talk about things, and that's how we figure out what's what. Now, I know an issue that is certainly current. It's something you wanted to discuss is voting rights. As we know right now, Chuck Schumer is attempting to get rid of the filibuster so that they can get the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act onto the floor. And you're not feeling voting rights. You're not feeling a bill is necessary. So let's hear your line of reasoning.
So I've read the 14th Amendment a number of times now, and I've read all its subsections. And it doesn't state anywhere in there that the federal government any right to put down or to change any laws when it comes to voting. It is all based on states. It's all fallen on the power of the states. And there's a very, very, very good reason why states have the power to run elections, federal elections, and not the federal government. And that reason is simple. You have 50 different ways to run it. It's a lot harder to rig. It's a lot harder to manipulate. That's the exact reason why you don't have DC as a state. That's why the exact reason why you don't have a federal voting law, because we have one, it's easier to manipulate. It's easier to fudge. So you have 50 different voting rights, vote laws for 50 different states. And that's fair. Every state. Now, on the flip side of that, Joe, and I know what you're going to say. I know you're going to come down.
Oh, good. Yeah, you could feel it. You could feel it building, no doubt.
You're going to talk about all these things, right, that the red states are doing. But so constitutionally, right, and this is, I've been extremely consistent about this. Constitutionally, there's no state, no government that can limit, and it says it literally says it can limit or what's the word they use? Exact word, hinder voting rights, right? You cannot disallow somebody to vote as long as they are an American citizen. That is in the Constitution. Says it, American citizen, have to be an American citizen to vote, period.
Yes.
So
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Congress, Senate, government, or executive branch, that's a federal level, they're not allowed to interfere with state elections, even for federal offices. And that's the exact reason. So what are these acts even on the floor for? I don't even know why they're trying to get something passed that is unconstitutional. They're not allowed to do it, but they're still trying, and nobody's saying. Everybody's screaming about what's in the bill. Don't scream about what's in the bill. The bill should never have reached the floor. It's unconstitutional. That's my biggest gripe with the Freedom to Vote Act, the HR 1, it's all on.
All right, so I guess
not allowed.
All right. Now, listen, you certainly have an argument there. That's a better argument to make than arguing what's in it, which is making sure that people can vote. And that's, again, an argument that if you're a Republican, is that an argument you want to make? Like, people shouldn't be able to vote, shouldn't be easy. That's not here's another funny thing. You're a smart guy, so I don't mean to insult you with this.
I don't think any Republican is saying making it harder to vote. Nobody's making it harder
they do.
To vote.
Ron DeSantis is one, and Brian Kemp is two. Those are literally two Republicans who are trying to make it harder for people to vote, as are those state legislatures.
Extended early voting.
And listen, and here's the problem: is they're doing it. They're doing, hold on,
okay.
And the funny part is they're doing it under the guise of protecting the election from a fraud that did not occur. So again, it's like it's an outrage to a response to an outrage, and it doesn't really add up. Again, if you look at what they did in Florida and you look at what they did in Georgia, which is the reason why this bill has made its way onto the floor, because again, you have states that are acting within their authority, you understand, to a degree, but on a federal level, you're talking about, again, if you're messing with people's civil rights, then you have the State Department suing states, and we don't want that. But it seems to me, and maybe this is just me going off of what Mike Lindell wants, but it would seem to me that if there was a national voting law that explained how and who can vote, and we could all agree on said bill, then there wouldn't be any question about illegal immigrants or dead people or any of those things. Again, there's got to be no, there's not. Listen,
there is a law on the book.
You said, listen, there are 50 different procedures to count votes in 50 different states. I mean, one could argue, and I mean, if I'm watching any Ben Shapiro argument, he's just going to argue that the procedure is flawed and whatever nonsense. So why we can easily all vote from our phones for the American Idol, but we can't vote for the president escapes me. It really does. Now, here's the worst part about American Idol is if American Idol was on the up and up, they would have showed you the votes. There was a reason they didn't. And that had to do with money, which is probably a lot to do with what this election is really about. I think, listen.
Hey, do you want to know why there's 50? Do you want to know why there's 50?
Yeah.
That's the Colonial Pipeline. That's the Colonial Pipeline people, why there's 50 different voting procedures. Because it was that easy to get $5 million out of Colonial Pipeline for one hacker to hack one system. That's why you don't have one system. That's why you don't have one law. Because it's that quick to hack into the Colonial Pipeline, get $5 million from them. It's going to be that quick to hack into one system to change some numbers. That's why we don't have one law. That's why we don't have one system.
So instead, you have 50 systems, and when you don't like the result you get, you just go before Congress and you try to decertify those results. So this is what I'm saying. This is sort of this catch-22 that you guys are living in. Either the elections are shady and fraudulent, or we should do something to make sure that everyone has one vote and that it's done properly.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're seeing stuff like this, right? You're seeing stuff like you guys, like the Republicans are the only ones screaming, or the only ones that has ever screamed about, fraud in the elections. Now, I listened to 4 years. 4 years I've listened to CNN, MSNBC, all the freaking Democrats saying, not a legitimate president, illegitimate president, not my president. I listened to that for 4 years. Russian interference, never fucking proven. I listened to that for 4 years. So I hate it when people talk to me and it's like, you Republicans think everything, the election was rigged, it was bullshit, blah, blah, blah. No. Yeah, I get it. Trump led a lie. Trump, pushed this lie, and people bought it hook, line, and sinker. However, pause for effect. It happened 4 years ago, or 8 years ago too, man. It never ends. Remember the George Bush and the Florida countdown there? George Bush against Mitt Romney?
Oh, Gore?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Gore.
Bush, Gore. Oh, yeah, you said like 8 years ago. Buddy, it's 2022. I know we're getting older. 5 years ago wasn't that. Yeah, that's like
party.
Absolutely.
Every party has been screaming voter fraud. Every election. So I love it when the Democrats are like, you guys, like we're the only ones that do this. If you want to,
but who tried to decertify the results of an election in Congress the day they were to be certified? The Democrats have never done that, as far as I can tell.
A bunch of rednecks?
No. I'm talking about literally the senators who try to decertify people like Ted Cruz, who tried to literally decertify the votes on January 6th, which of course is what touched off, your rally or whatever you want to call it.
You mean every freaking person, just about every person in the world was like, right? I mean, come on. The largest Republican turnout in history.
And the largest Democratic turnout in history.
The largest Democratic turnout in history. However, Democrats didn't turn out. They sat at home, they filled out their little ballots, and they sent them in, right? That's what they did.
Okay, before you go a step further, I want to warn you about
I'm not going
something.
any step further than
Hold on, because you're going to step in a big pile of doo-doo here. Do you know that Republicans voted by mail more than Democrats did in the election?
That is absolutely untrue.
Look that up.
Absolutely.
Look it up.
I'm going to right now.
Look it up. Hilarious.
In what election?
The 2020 election. That's a fact. Go ahead and look that up. Now, here's the thing. Everybody wants free and fair elections. I heard somebody yesterday literally arguing about the democratic process, saying, why does it have to be democratic? Why can't it be Republican? And I thought, there's a lot of stupid people walking around here. There really is. Now, and this is what I've been warning about for years. Number one, if you want to know where all the extra Democratic votes came from, they came from places like Parkland, Florida. And I suggested in 2018 when that happened, that when those kids turned 18 and they could vote, it's going to be a bad day for the Republicans. Fortunately for you, when some of those kids turn 18, they also decided to stick with what they had, and they voted like their parents do. But again, you see who won that, and I tell you, again, you take that and you take the lack of a COVID response by Mitch McConnell, and I think the Republicans couldn't have made it any easier for the Democrats to win. And it's I'll tell you, James,
that's not it
I'll
at
tell you
all.
one more thing. I think if the Democrats weren't as insanely incompetent and poor messaging, they would have wiped the floor with the Republicans in 20. I mean, wiped the floor with them. It's literally their own incompetence.
Yeah,
that it was even as close as it was.
The Republicans lost this. I mean, this could have been a huge, I mean, to be honest, it could have been a huge, huge historical presidential moment for freaking Donald Trump if he handled it correctly. If he stopped all this stupid, right? All right. Number one, we can get this out of the way real quick here. All right. When it came to Donald Trump, all we can talk about really is his freaking character. You can't touch the policies that he made because they were excellent for the country. Were some of them stretching the borders of your morality? Maybe, but they were still very, very good for the country. So all everybody has to talk about when it comes to Donald Trump is his personality, his character. So if that's what we're going to talk about, we can talk about that. Or we can just go on to, something a little more substantive, because I'm tired of just hearing out everybody say how bad of a character he is. No shit. We know he's a bad guy. We know he's a douchebag. No more talking about it, please. It's enough already. It's like me telling you 1 + 1 is 2 every freaking day. We know. I get it.
James, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, but one of the things that I found absolutely infuriating was after Trump hit lie 100 on like day 3, I thought to myself, what are you guys even counting for? Like, you're only, it's Donald Trump. It's like, hey, you want to set a record for most lies? Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. You guys are going to keep track of it every day? It almost seemed like a game to that guy. So, again, I feel like the liberal media completely failed. And it's like, we're going to keep counting the times Trump lies. Oh, awesome. And then what? What are you going to do with that?
Why?
What do you get?
Know,
he hits 1,000. Now what? 8,000? What is right? There you go. Again, it's you can be outraged all the time that Donald Trump is a liar and that Donald Trump is an immoral, soulless, poor example of conservative values. You'd be right about all of those things. But again, end of the day, look at that economy. Booming. Who doesn't love that?
I don't know.
So then you have to ask yourself, James, why in the name of creation didn't somebody about 3 months before that election say to Donald Trump, dude, you really want to get these people? Go out there and act like Winston Churchill. Just go out there and be a polished, classy politician. Say smart presidential things. Dude, that would have blown people's minds and probably changed votes.
I think he probably would have won by a landslide if he would have just put his phone down, had a little coaching, and had somebody other than a
James,
4-year-old.
He's a great actor. He's a great actor. He's not a stupid guy. He knows the way he's perceived. You're telling me, and again, I think if he had to do it over again, I think he might have considered the idea of, dude, why did they pick Joe Biden? Presidential. It's a safe pick.
Safe.
So what do you have to do? Just outclass him. Just be smoother.
And it wasn't hard.
It wouldn't have been hard. It wouldn't have been hard at all. So again, Republicans completely mismanaged that. Any idea that they're being
that's Donald Trump right now. They're mismanaging Donald Trump. they're mismanaging the Donald Trump situation right now, in my opinion, and they're going all in. Right? You see it on the news all the time. Senator Lindsey Graham is saying we're not voting for freaking Mitch McConnell unless he gets along with Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Mitch McConnell was probably one of the better fail safes for Republicans in the Senate. Like he saved so many.
My question is,
go ahead,
dude. My question is what is Lindsey Graham's end game on that? Like Mitch McConnell's never going to do that. So what's your end game to come out and say that publicly to a guy who does not hold elected office, who's obviously pissed off Candace Owens and Alex Jones in that section right now? A guy who, I mean, if you're one of those QAnon people, I mean, the Great Awakening, all that stuff that was supposed to happen, the pedophiles, Hillary and Obama, obviously, that was all bunk. You guys, I know you don't subscribe to that, but I think those people have to be like, all right, we've been fleeced. So my thought is outside of Lindsey Graham, Ron DeSantis, that nutcase Stenfick in New York State, and a handful of other Looney Tunes who were like, oh, I'll do the Trump thing. That works. It doesn't. Like you said, and this is what I'm, I'm not sure what Mitch McConnell's play is either, because is somebody going to try to get the reins of this party back so that it's a party that America's not embarrassed by? Because I listen again, I don't say that, James, to praise the Democrats, but around the world, people think that Republicans are anti-democracy and anti-American and pro-Russian. And that's a weird thing for a political party in America to be.
Yeah, I think you're reaching a little bit too far in this pro-Russia, especially with the Steele dossier being debunked and everybody getting arrested for that freaking bull crap, or at least getting indicted. I really, really think it's not. God almighty. I can't even freaking articulate this right now. You got me so flustered, Joe.
Let me fluster you more then. Maybe answer this question, because I always assumed the P-tape had to be real, because then how do you explain the way Donald Trump, how do you explain the way Donald Trump, I was going to say something gross and I'm not going to, but how do you explain his interactions with Vladimir Putin if there's not some weird thing? Because that was insanely bizarre, the way he just loved that guy a lot. That was, you have to admit that was weird.
So I will admit
misleading, perhaps,
that it may have been a misleading thing. However, whether it was right or wrong, only history will be able to tell you that. But I will say this. During the 4 years of the Trump presidency, and he handled, and I'm going to say handled, China, Russia, and North Korea, he took a different tactic than every other president, than this president is, and he started treating them as equals instead of, I'm going to freaking, if you do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, he started treating them like equals instead of parents, like he was their parent. You see what I'm saying? So he took a different tactic. Whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent, that's not for me to decide. Did I agree with it? Yes and no, right? But I will say this. There weren't the problems that we were having during the Trump presidency that we're having now, or during the Obama presidency. Russia, right. I mean, Russia is going to invade. Russia is going to invade. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because, and he knows that Biden won't do anything about it. That's why.
Well,
Trump talked to
that's
him.
not
Trump
true.
Said, Trump
I don't
said,
think that's true.
Okay,
first of all, second of all, I mean,
we're going to make a broke ass country more broke.
They already literally told Russia if they instigate anything with Ukraine, it's going to be trouble. And they just told them straight up no to them not protecting Ukraine or not allowing them to NATO. So I will say so far the Biden team's handling that well, as far as I can see. But let's get back to we were talking about Senator Graham. We were also talking. I mentioned Senator Cruz. I also mentioned Senator McConnell. Great time, I think, to talk about term limits. That is topic number 2 tonight. It's one I think that you and I both agree on. I thought it was funny. Recently, Ted Cruz came out and called for term limits. And Ted Cruz called for those term limits being imposed right after he gets his next election, which will give him 12 more years in office. I kid you not. That's the way he did it. But I'm all for term limits. I'm all for not only term limits, but here's my other thing. And I told you this the other day, and I'll just put this out on the record. I feel so strongly about term limits. I don't want any more Bushes. I don't want any more Clintons. I don't want Obamas, Tafts, Pierces. If your family's been in politics your whole life, Kennedys, you're done. No Trump Jr., no Ivanka, no Barron. Definitely not Tiffany or Eric. No, we got to stop that stuff. We got to stop. Look at what's happening right now in Britain. The national embarrassment that Prince Andrew is, that his mother, the Queen, here's loyalty for you, basically kicked him to the curb and told him to go figure that out for himself.
Oh, yeah.
There should be term limits for everything, including the Supreme Court, and we'll get into that in a hot minute because there's currently not. And this is vitally important because these are people, and I think Mitch McConnell, I think Chuck Schumer, I think Nancy Pelosi, probably anybody who you know on a first-name basis, like Lindsey and Mitch, they've been there for too long. They've been there for far too long. And as you and I were talking about this the other day, and I think this is important to discuss, you get elected and you're immediately running for office again. Donald Trump literally took it a step further. January 21st of 2016, he literally, or 2017 rather, he literally announced he was in fact running, which had never happened before. But it's a testament to exactly what this is all about. It was Tulsi Gabbard said on Joe Rogan's show a couple of years ago that when she first got into Congress, Nancy Pelosi was like, we're here for the party. We're not here to win votes. We're not here to, we're here to win votes for the party. We're not here basically to win policy, that they're not really there fighting for the little guy, which is good to hear because the Republicans also aren't working for anybody either. So at least nobody's loyal to anybody but those corporations that really at the end of the day are what's causing all the problems in America as far as I'm concerned. But let's talk about term limits. I know you feel strongly about them as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, you hit the nail on the head when you said that, the day re-election starts is the day you get elected, right? And that is one of the biggest problems that we have, because instead of freaking doing what's right, now you're doing what's votes, right? They're doing what's popular for votes and not what's right. And there's just no integrity anymore. There's no honor anymore when you don't have term limits, right? When you don't put term limits in and you can just coast along and you don't have to do anything at all for anybody. This is what you get, guys. You're living in an era right now where any politician you think of only cares about votes and they don't care about you. This is what you get. If you don't like the way the country's going right now, you have nobody to blame but yourselves. We, including myself, including Joe, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. We voted these people in. We continue to vote these people in, and they continue to do what they do. What's the definition of insanity, Joe?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Yeah.
So is this a country of insanity? Yeah, we're a country of insane people, apparently, because we keep voting these same blowhards that don't really care about anything but lining their pockets back in office, right? I don't even want to begin with Joe Biden's senatorial run, right? Because every promise that he's ever made, he's only kept 2 promises through his 70 years of politics, his 150 years of politics. He's kept 2 promises. That's it. Tell me one presidential promise, campaign promise that he's made that he's kept.
I'll tell you the campaign promise that he kept, that I wouldn't have to wake up in the morning and immediately jump on Twitter to see if World War III was about to start with North Korea. So he's got that totally going for him. This isn't listen, I don't want to make this about Joe Biden. I don't think that's necessary, because there's so many good examples of people already right now currently doing the job for too long that are effectively holding the Senate hostage. That, to me, being Schumer and McConnell. These 2 guys have a great deal of power. They are the leaders of the caucuses of these 2 parties, and they're 2 jackasses. Quite frankly, that's the best way to describe this.
You have one guy trying to fundamentally change the United States and the way we've done business and the way that the Constitution was written and the way it should be done, right? And Chuck Schumer. And then you have one guy saying,
well, all right, listen, hold on. If you're going to give me that originalist baloney, then let me just give you what comes with being an originalist. Then you don't want women to vote and you don't want minorities to vote. That's what you're saying, because that's what an originalist actually is. You wouldn't have the right to vote if that were the case. You know that, right?
I've never called myself that.
I just want to put that out there that because you're talking about the Constitution. And what is the Constitution made out of? Amendments. Because we progress through time, not for nothing, Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson thought this thing should be rewritten about every 10 years. And it should be reworked so that there should be language in the Constitution about AR-15s, so that we stupid people don't confuse AR. It's not an assault rifle. Oh, okay. It's not an assault rifle. It's one that goes bang, 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 bang. A lot of times really fast into people. And it's also the kind of weapon that destroys you so bad when you get hit with it that even a nick without hitting a vital organ, you'll bleed out in under 10 minutes if you're shot with an AR-15. But again, here's what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm saying. I got off a little bit of a tangent there. Let's get back on these term limits, because again, there's some great value in term limits. You you see somebody like, and I know you don't love her, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is a person who, here's what I like about her. She's there thinking she's going to make some change. Now, Dan Crenshaw, you probably like that guy. There's another guy, right? He's in there. He's trying to bring back like the conservative values. I can respect that. Crenshaw, every now and again, actually has the balls to call things out. And I don't mind that. Okay?
Yeah.
So I want more Crenshaws and AOCs in there, because these are people that they show up there. People like Tulsi Gabbard, they show up there and they're like, I'm going to make things better for the people in my neighborhood, in my community. And they get there and they meet Schumer and they meet Pelosi and they meet McConnell and they meet Kevin McCarthy, and they find out you're not here for that. And the reason that you're not here for that is we got to keep our party in power. That's the most important thing. That's the problem with term limits. At the end of the day, I'll take the AOCs and the Crenshaws of the world, because those are people, if you had 450 of those people in Congress, AOCs and Crenshaws, they'd all been there a year or two, you'd get stuff done.
You'd absolutely not get anything done. You would
get stuff done. You would get stuff done.
When you say term limits, that's define the limits, right? Congress, no more than 20 years. Senate,
I think it should be less than that. I think it should be 12 in Congress.
No.
I think 12 years in Congress. I think 8 years in the Senate. No more 6-year terms. I'd break them down to 4. I've also, I have an idea of I think every state should have 2 senators. One should be Republican, one should be a Democrat.
You can't do that. I remember you saying that.
I think that would be you can do that. You saying no, James, you can. The reason you're saying I can't is because we're so unbelievably. The reason you asked me why this show's called Divided We Stand. This is the reason. This is the reason that I'm telling you. And look where we are right now. It's 50-50 in the Senate. They haven't gotten shit done. They have not gotten anything done at all. And that is embarrassing. We're living through a pandemic. There's a lot of things our government could be doing. They can't agree on anything. They were not for nothing. And it's as much Schumer's fault as it is McConnell's, but they were going to let us default on our debt, for Christ's sake. I mean, what? I mean, it's all politics. I get it. But James, for crying out loud, if these people didn't have the power that they had, if you had people who were just in there, everybody's in there thinking they're going to make a difference, they wouldn't even know that you could do that. Did you know? Let me ask you, James. Did you know that if you're the Senate majority leader and they want to do a Supreme Court nominee, you could be like, no. Who even knew that was a thing? Mitch McConnell knew that was a thing. You know why? You know why Mitch McConnell knew that was a thing? Because he's won like 20 elections in a row and he'll never lose. That's why. That's why. We can't have senators and Congress people.
In the past 15 seconds here.
We cannot have these people from all these different states. And again, it's both sides. Can't have them there 30 years. Again, just working to hold the power. They're not looking to help you. Mitch McConnell's state is one of the dumbest, poorest in the country. And they keep voting him back there. Why?
I can't answer, but I do want to.
Because he's the Republican. That's why.
Right. You think if we had a bunch of AOCs, Ilhan Omar's, Dan Crenshaw's, we would get stuff done?
Yes. Yeah, if you knew you were in and out in 8 years, bro, or 12 years, that's all you got. You either going to do stuff or you're just going to what? You're going to just stand pat and then vanish into the distance? You have less time to prep for your presidential career or whatever you think you're doing after this. If you were in and out,
right. And again, you know what? You need experience. All right. You can't have, if we left AOC in charge, we'd be screwed right now. You know that. We'd be screwed. You can't leave people like that in charge without somebody with freaking 18, 20 years experience.
No.
Right?
I don't think so. Look, yes, James, the rules are written down. The rules are written down. They're in glass. It's the Constitution. That's the job that these people have to do. Anybody who's followed government for a day understands how it works. I'm saying if you were able to take away people like Schumer, and again, people that have been there for too long, who are completely owned by the special interest groups and the lobbyists. Imagine if they couldn't spend 30 years getting to know Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer. It would be harder to influence those guys. Again, if you're in and out and everybody's in there and you get a lot of inexperience. But listen, you shouldn't be inexperienced.
You have in and out and a lot of inexperience.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. No, stop. Listen, here's what you do. I'll tell you exactly what you do.
Chaotic, man. You can't do that.
Here's what you do. You gotta, so listen, you want experience, you're gonna have to run for state government. You're gonna have to run local, you're gonna have to run state, and you'll work your way up to the federal government. You're gonna have to, because again, you can't burn your years in Congress too soon. It would definitely have an impact. I promise you. There's so many people in that Congress. They are not there working for the American people. They're working for themselves. To keep people in that power over and over again is to ask them to corrupt that power, and that's what is happening.
I agree wholeheartedly. This we agree on. The number we don't agree on. 20 years is vital. It's vital. The only way you can go over 20 years is if you're a cabinet position. You know what I'm saying? President, vice president, friggin' Secretary of State, blah, 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 right? That's the only way you go over 20 years. But if you don't have a 20-year veteran in that freaking seat, you are going to have these kids saying, nope, we're going to change it this way. And then freaking 2 years from now, nope, we're going to change it this way. Nope,
James,
we're going to change it this way.
let me tell you
nope,
something.
We're going to change it this way.
You say
you
this all the
can't
time. James, you talk
There
about
needs
the
to be
5%.
stability.
You talk about the 5% of extremists in every party. Listen, you've got a handful of AOCs. They're called the Squad. And you have a handful of Crenshaws. They're maniacs. And none of them has enough votes to do anything that they want to do. Not even close. Not even close. Marjorie Taylor Greene has about as much pull as they do. Okay? And she's an absolute wackadoo.
If you had a bunch of AOCs, the possibility is there.
Why would you have a bunch of AOCs? Again, dude, there are lots of people in
I will amend my statement. I like Crenshaw.
I would much prefer
a bunch of freaking AOCs, and you're gonna have a bunch of freaking DeSantis's pushing freaking stupid policies, right?
Yep.
And you're gonna have
none of that will ever get passed because nobody who's sane will vote for it, and there'll still be more sane than insane people at the end of the day. That's what's gonna happen. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you have a revolving door of freaking Senate, you're gonna get insanity. You can't have a revolving door. Hold on. Outside of those handful of people like Schumer and McConnell, again, the ones you know, Lindsey Graham, Rand Paul, Mitt Romney, the ones that you know have been there for way too long. And what have they done? You know, Joe Biden, what did he do? So again, these people are there and they're there for a really long time and they're not really doing anything. And so again, the question, Bernie Sanders, that's a guy that's gotten things done. That guy passed 3 major pieces of legislation, and every 10 years, Bernie cracks one out of the park. I'll give that guy credit. He gets some things done. All of these people, it's the same old, same old. The revolving door works for everybody but them. And that's ridiculous.
That's what we're saying. We're saying we need to install that revolving door, but we need to have a freaking fail-safe. We can't have a revolving door.
But the fail-safe can't be that Chuck Schumer, that Schumer and McConnell yield all this power. That is ridiculous.
You touched on this earlier, Joe, right? You're sitting there saying it's easy to amend the Constitution and the Constitution needs to be amended. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not. However, you have freaking people right now that can't agree on a goddamn wall. A fucking wall. You want them to amend our Constitution? Are you insane? You're insane for suggesting that. These people can't put up a fucking wall. You want them to amend our Constitution? No, absolutely not.
Wait, time out. What wall are we talking about?
You're suggesting that we amend the Constitution and to have certain things happen for what was our first topic there?
Voting rights.
I didn't bring up my voting rights.
No, listen. Hold on. First of all, right? I don't remember where I. I don't remember where I
be amended.
I don't think I said any. I did say no. What all I said was that you can amend the Constitution. That anybody who's hold on. No, I didn't say we should. I never used the word we should. What I said was that we can because it is a document that is filled with amendments. And so by nature, it is a correctable document. It's got to be amended. It had to be amended to take slavery out and to give women and minorities the right to vote. It had to be amended to prohibit alcohol, and then it had to be amended again because we wanted that back. So you can do whatever you want with the Constitution, and anybody who takes a literalist approach to the Constitution, I'm sorry to say, that argument falls on deaf ears because the guy that wrote it was like, don't keep this for 250 years. Bad idea. And he was right about that.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said. What I'm telling you, but
I didn't say to amend the Constitution to pass voting rights. I didn't say that. I just want to be clear. I didn't say that. I just said it could happen. Is all I was saying. I'm not saying they should. I'm saying it could happen because that's how amendments work.
I'm saying it should be amended. I'm not saying that these freaking chuckleheads that we have in there right now are the people to do it.
Well, why
That's what
would
I'm
they?
saying.
They're not going to do it.
I wouldn't trust these freaking guys with my freaking kids or a potato gun.
Well, who would you
right?
want to do that then? Who else is going to do it?
We'll have to find out. We'd have to get some of the best scholars, some of the best freaking lawyers, and so we would. Why don't we create a brain trust? We need to create a brain trust of freaking people. We are the United States of America, for Christ's sake. We have some of the smartest people in the fucking world here.
Can I tell you why? I've had a conversation, and I recently watched a Ben Shapiro debate where he cited this. The what is it? The argument by authority or something, that just because you cite something, a study from Harvard or Yale, it doesn't mean it's right. And it's like, listen, fuckface, it does mean it's right. Probably more right than if I got it from Naugatuck State Community College. I mean, give me a break. And again, this is sort of another thing from the right, James, that I'm uncomfortable with. This like dumbing down of everything. I don't like it. The fake slippery slope of, if we allow gay marriage, we will be marrying dogs. Where do we draw the line? Well, we draw way before dogs. What? We draw the line at humans. That's it. We can draw lines. Again, it's this thought of like, you can't do, you can do whatever you want. It's America. That's how it works.
So why do you bag on these guys?
On who?
Anybody who doesn't agree with you, they're dumb, they're stupid, what else have you called?
There's certain things. I think there's certain things that are very obvious.
In a certain way. For amendment, like the Second Amendment is the best one to argue. The Second Amendment is probably the best one to argue when it comes to, and it's not, it should be argued as a type of person that's arguing. That's what we really need to talk about. The type of people that are arguing. Nobody on the. I would venture to say that more people on the right, vice the left, know more about guns. Right? Like I know about a lot more guns than probably you, maybe. Right? I know how to use.
I won't argue that. You probably know more about. I like guns a lot. I like the Second Amendment a lot. I'm a big fan of it. So I wasn't in the military. I don't know how to take a weapon apart and put it back together. So I'll tip the cap to you. Yeah.
My point is this. I don't give a shit what they believe. I don't. If they believe the Second Amendment says they have the right to own a fucking tank, then they still don't have the right. Nobody's going to sell them a tank, right? Nobody's selling them a freaking 50 cal machine gun. Nobody's selling them a 240 Golf. Nobody's selling them a freaking saw like we use in the military. Right? You're getting an AR-15 and everybody's freaking out about it. How long has the ban on fully automatic weapons been in place? Forever?
No,
you can't own a fully automatic weapon.
It expired. Didn't that ban expire after 20 years? I thought it expired. Did they re-up it? Maybe they did.
Yeah, I thought they re-upped it. But it bothers me personally. Because I am a gun-loving, freaking truck-driving, American flag flying, freaking red-blooded American, right? I went to war for this country. I served 20 freaking years for this country, and I don't care what your opinion is, Joe. Your opinion can be completely, not in a mean or malicious way. Your opinion, what you do, have so different than mine, but I don't bag on you. I don't call you stupid. I don't call you uneducated. I don't call you freaking whatever. You're just you, and you have that right, and you're welcome. You are very welcome to have that right. And for somebody to call somebody like me uneducated because I don't have a college degree, right? Am I uneducated? I mean, maybe, I don't know, technically, but I'm not stupid by any imagination.
No, you're not, because you know what? Because you're smart enough to know what you don't know. And there's too many people, James, that don't feel that way. There's too many people that can't admit that they're stupid, or that they don't know enough, or that they're not educated, to put it in a nicer way, I suppose. I could be a little bit nicer about it, and I should. But At the end of the day, if you don't understand science, you shouldn't be out there flapping your gums anti-vaccine. That's what idiots do. And when I see idiots running their mouths, I can't help it.
They're not anti-vaccine, Joe. They're not anti-vaccine.
Who's not? I'm talking about literally. I'm literally talking about. Right. I'm literally talking about anti-vaccine people.
Today, the majority of non-vax people today are still vaccinated people. They believe in they get the flu shot, they get the measles, mumps, rubella. They just don't want this one. They don't want this one because it's too new. Right. They don't have the data. And the fucking Democrats told them not to trust it for a fucking year.
Yeah.
For a fucking year, the Democrats said, don't take it. Don't take it.
Right. It's all of those reasons. But again, listen, a smart person would go talk to their doctor. Their doctor would rest assure them, like I've done with mine, that it's very safe, that it's no different than any of the other vaccines, that it's no different than taking the flu vaccine. But again, too many people, James, won't admit what they don't know. Those people, by nature, are stupid. I can't help but label them that, James. When I don't know something, do you know what I do? I go and I look up the information. Sometimes the information, I'm like, oh, this sucks. This isn't what I wanted to read, but you know what? It's the truth, and so I go with it. Okay?
Now
if you come across the science, it's like, well, masks work, vaccines work, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, science is still out. I'm sorry to say. Based on what I just explained, you'd have to be a stupid person to do that. Okay? So they're not anti-vax. They're stupid people about a life-saving mechanism that's put in place for the safety of the entire world, the greater good. And I know the greater good, it's a real infringer on your rights. But as I've said a million times, and again, the slippery slope bullshit argument doesn't fly with me. This one time, just take this one fucking vaccine. Just take it. Take it. Let's see in like 3 months. If nobody's got a tail and this thing is over, I win.
All right, look, we're going to put this friggin' vaccine thing to bed right now. I am going to put this to bed right now. And if anybody is out there listening, spread this word, okay? Yeah. Vaccines are like condoms. Vaccines are like condoms. Vaccines are like guns. It's better to have one and not fucking need it than to need it and not have one. Go get the damn vaccine.
I'm not stereotyping everybody. I'm stereotyping very specific people. It's people who choose to ignore factual information. I just have a problem with that because, again, it's steeped in something deeper. It's steeped in a hatred of socialism and liberalism and whatever nonsense that is. Here's the funny thing, okay? And I guess, James, I want to try to reassure the whole Republican world, which, again, I'm still registered as, okay?
No, I know registered. You are, Joe, and I know you're extremely passionate about it, especially
see, again, I hate socialism. You don't even know what socialism is. Shut up. Let me explain something, okay? This is my point, dude, right? If you don't know what something is, find out. Do you think that the Democrats want what happened in Venezuela and Cuba? Honestly, that's what people think. Also, and James, I said this the other day, what do you think? They're going to vote on imposing socialism? How would that work exactly? Bringing in socialist policies isn't trying to change America. We've had socialist policy since 1932. Okay? Having a degree doesn't make you smart. Using a degree does. I talk about an MMA fighter named Paul Acosta. Paul Acosta's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When he gets to the octagon, you know what he does? He's a stand-up fighter. He never does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think that guy's stupid. I do. I don't understand that. So having a degree is great. If you're not applying science to science, then you're doing yourself a complete disservice. Okay? Also, the word socialism is different than democratic socialism. Okay? Those are two differences. So again, I don't know where we're at.
Okay, here's what it is, Joe. Here's what it is. You're talking about Venezuela, right? You're saying that people out there are saying America's going to turn into Venezuela. I don't think we're saying that at all. I think some of them are.
Yes.
But the majority
That's
of
who I'm
us
talking
are not
to.
saying
Yeah.
that. Right. Right. That fine. The majority of us, I believe, right, are talking about the definitions are getting blurred. Words, and I'm going to say this out loud, words are being used by the Democrats more so than the Republicans. They're doing it on both sides. But the words that they're using are fucking confusing people. They're
Yes.
confusing people.
Yes.
Right?
I
So
started
when
the
you-
show
they
off saying
should
how
not-
poor their
they should
messaging
not-
is. It's abominable.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. They're conflating the terms equality and equity. And that's what they're doing right now. And this is one of the biggest problems that we're having in America. There is no such thing as freaking equity. You can't have. Why am I not in the NBA, Joe? Because I'm 5'9", and everybody is 7 foot tall. We all can't we all can't slam dunk basketball. There's no such thing as equity when it comes to people. None. Zero. Zilch. None. Equality, there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between equity and equality. Equality is this freaking pipe dream. And I'm going to call it that. I want to be honest. It's a pipe dream that social Democrats have. You can't have equality when it comes to human nature, Joe. I want to beat you in the ratings. You want to beat me in the ratings. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like, hey, Jim, let's do a competing podcast and have 50-50 of the freaking market share. You don't do that. Human nature dictates that you can't. And this is why every socialist experiment has fucking failed, Joe.
That's what I don't even know what you're talking about or what a social experiment is, because again, what you're talking about is communism. You're talking about where it's all equitable. I haven't heard any sane person ever say that. So I don't even know where you're even going with that. Okay? At all. Nobody wants that.
And bring the people down. You're trying to bring rich people down by taking tax.
Brother, a 0.5% tax on the rich isn't tilting anything. Stop it. All right. Let's get back
moving on to
here.
Justice Kavanaugh.
This guy.
Before we move on to Justice Kavanaugh, have you seen the Matt Damon SNL skit of the hearing?
Yes. Oh, Lord, yes.
If you have not seen that, people, it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life. It is probably one of the best performances by Matt Damon I have ever seen. It was awesome. God.
It is absolutely hilarious. Now, Kavanaugh has been voting less conservative than any other Republican justice on that Supreme Court, if you will. And again, listen, let's talk about that hearing for a minute. I don't even want to get into what it was about because it doesn't matter. But as you could imagine, the liberals absolutely hated this guy. He was going to destroy America. Kavanaugh was. He was a puppet of Donald Trump. And that's not even close to accurate. And so, again, if you want to talk about, you brought up the Steele dossier. I'm happy to talk about that now. I believe that. I really did. It seemed pretty legit. To find out that Hillary paid for it, there you go. That should be all you need to know, and that CNN was pushing it. Good news, by the way, everybody. CNN's ratings are down 90%, as I think people have finally decided that CNN should stop making the news. Okay? It's, as I mentioned on last week's episode, I don't love Brian Kilmeade and Sean Hannity being news stories. I don't like that at all. I don't want to see any network involved in my politics. Don't really care for that. But getting on the Justice Kavanaugh, he voted with the conservatives and with Justice Roberts to overturn the mandate on businesses over 100 employees. Unfortunately, he voted with the liberals and with Justice Roberts to allow for the forced vaccination, not forced vaccination, the healthcare mandate. I'm joking about for healthcare professionals. Now, some people are, he just did what, and again, he's interpreting the law, and he's interpreting the law the way it's supposed to be interpreted. And so it's funny. They didn't like Gorsuch because Gorsuch stole Merrick Garland's seat, said the liberals. But this was Trump's guy. This guy, of course, was on the Supreme Court that also didn't want to hear any of the election fraud stuff. Last year, Kavanaugh also multiple times voted with both Roberts and the liberals in the case of rights for the individual, and this is why I don't necessarily love a conservative court. I do prefer my rights going to the little guy. I do prefer rulings in that sense, but that's not what this is about. There was some talk about Donald Trump wanting Justice Kavanaugh to be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Now, I read up on this, James, because this has been a theory of mine that this guy is trying to be the swing vote guy that John Roberts has become. And my thought is he's definitely got an eye towards it. Now, the rule on its face says that the Chief Justice cannot be demoted. So in other words, I can't by decree be like, he's out, this guy's in. But here's what I did find out. Congress could do that. So it could be done. And if the Republicans were to get back in power and Donald Trump were to be president again, first of all, it wouldn't be because he's not one for following rules necessarily. You could almost see him just trying to make that happen one way or another. You mentioned all these legal scholars. I would assume somewhere in there's got to be some language where I could do this. Or, thirdly, like I said, it is possible that you could have Congress vote on it and change. It's never been done. But it is on the books. Just that the president himself can't do it. So, James, again, this is a guy who the liberals absolutely hate. And now I've seen many articles where they're sort of singing Kavanaugh's praises. What do you think about that?
All righty. So I have two trains of thoughts on Brett Kavanaugh. Number one, could you be right? And this could be Trump's boy to be Chief Justice, and they're going to wiggle his way in there. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. I don't want to speculate that far ahead right now because that still is 2024. But as of right now, my opinion is he knows that he's a loser in the court of public opinion. He knows that hearing just he wiped it out of him. He is one of the most unpopular justices ever. Yeah, and he knows that. So my opinion right now is he is trying to win back the court of public opinion right now. So he's trying to become.
I want to show you this, by the way. Biden wants new ban on assault-styled weapons because, the ban did expire, and as you could imagine, the NRA said no, and so we don't have an assault weapons ban in this country.
Automatic weapons, not an assault weapons. The assault weapon ban, I'm talking automatics. You can't own a fully automatic machine gun. You can't go out there and buy a belt-fed machine gun like I fired.
I mean, you probably could if you really wanted to.
I would think hard.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be illegal, but I mean, I'm sure you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can buy anything for the right, if you got enough money. I mean, Christ almighty. Hey,
I guess, look, here's you. You can correct me on that in a little bit too. Then there's a difference between assault rifles and I don't. You could break that all down for me.
The term assault rifle isn't even a real term.
It's not real, right? It's just that's what people say.
That's what they call it. So when you're talking about weapons, we're talking about fully automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons. Here's the difference for everybody to know. A fully automatic weapon, you pull that trigger and hold it, you're going to fire as many rounds as you can in one trigger pull. Semi-automatic, even with an AR-15, you have to pull the trigger once for every round, right? On a 50 caliber freaking machine gun, they come in a 200 round belt fed. You can fire 2 rounds with one trigger. Just hold it down.
I mean, is this is like better? This is supposed to be safer? I mean, I just did this like 50 times in like 10 seconds.
It's a lot safer. Number one, you're not holding a gun that recoils.
A lot or a little
Yes.
bit? I'll give you a little bit safer.
It's a lot safer. Trust me. You got to trust me on this. A fully automatic weapon will cut a truck in half. And the freaking top half will fall off. You're not doing that with an AR-15. A fully automatic weapon will cut down trees. You're not doing that with an AR-15. Trust me, it's a lot. It's a huge difference, Joe. Huge, ginormous. All right.
All right.
Plus, when
I'm
you're
not.
shooting,
I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you. You say so.
Right? And everybody who shoots knows this. When you're shooting, especially a rifle, you have recoil. So every time you pull that trigger, that gun goes up more and more. So if you think you're a badass and you can go and hold that rifle and shoot the same thing, you're not. Trust me. I know badasses. They can't do it.
I'm just shooting wherever. What do I care? It's a
right.
semi-automatic weapon.
There's recoil. There's a whole bunch of factors that go in there.
No, I listen. I've shot guns. I know what recoil is. That I do understand. But again, my point is with an AR-15, I could still. I mean, first of all, it's got a 30 caliber mag. Am I right? Is it carry? It's 30 mag.
That's illegal. You're not allowed to carry a 30 round magazine.
Oh, never mind.
I am. Yeah. I can. As a former military, I actually can. And that's what we carry in the military, right? So real quick here, let's touch back on this weapon thing. The Second Amendment, right? You're supposed to be able to defend yourself against a tyrannical government using the equipment that government owns. So if the NRA was so freaking bad, right? And the NRA was really wanted all these guns out in the street and not just money, guys, they would be fighting for these automatic weapons. They'd be fighting for bazookas. They'd be fighting because this is what the Army has. This is what the military has.
The Constitution even they have enough sense to know that allowing bazookas would be a bad idea. Also, I think this is super important. I want to be really clear on what the NRA is. It's a lobbyist group for gun manufacturers. It does not represent gun owners.
Correct.
You can belong to the NRA. It is not a gun rights group. It is a gun, and their main, and if you look at the legislation they're trying to get pushed all the time, it's absolving the manufacturers of the guns from lawsuits. That's what the NRA is defending. It's not worried about who's getting shot. It's not really worried about your Second Amendment rights. It's worried about Colt and Smith & Wesson and the people they work for. Let's be clear about that, okay? They're no different than any other lobby group in America. I like Oliver North. He was my hero as a kid. I don't mean to disparage that organization, the NRA. I don't. But I think it's important for my brother's a member of the NRA, okay? A lot of people I know are, and that's fine. And a lot of funny story, there's 5 million members, or 9 million members, and 14 million people claim to be members. So 5 million people are making it up.
Bullshit.
Okay? Because, again, you feel this kinship, like, I'm with the NRA, and it's like the NRA's not with you. The NRA's not with you like any other, like the big pharma lobby group. I mean, they're not out there, like, worried about your, pitching your pills, and they're not out there worried about doctors and nurses. They're out there pushing pills. That's their job.
Hey, Joe,
they're out there worried about those folks. Yeah.
So you and I both know, and we understand that friggin' corporations run this country right now.
Yep.
Right. And so when it comes to term limits, I also want to limit the amount of money that corporations are allowed to donate to campaigns.
Yeah.
I also will never, ever, speaking of which, going back to voting rights and all these bills that Biden's trying to pass, that HR 1 remember that one that wants candidates to be able to use up to $2.5 million of taxpayer money for their campaign. That's one of the provisions in that HR 1. You can look that up. 2.5 million, I think it was, per candidate. They're allowed to use taxpayer money. And that is absolute garbage. And if that gets passed, that might start some stuff. Look at it.
Try
It's
me
in there.
again.
HR1, the HR1 bill. It's in there.
Right.
The taxpayer, they're allowed that bill. So this is what I love about these bills by Joe Biden. Do they have a lot of good stuff in there? Yes, they do. Will they help Americans? Yes, it will. And Republicans have come out and even said this. Joe Manchin has even said this. Kristen Sinema has even said this. The problem is all this other pork that they're trying to sneak in. For example, $2.5 million of taxpayer money going to freaking campaign funding. No.
So on June 22nd, 2021, the Senate voted 50-50 to allow debate on this bill. It has still not made its way to the Senate floor. And the reason why is because they don't have the votes. So you can be all freaked out about this bill. It's never going to happen. So nothing to worry about there.
My point of the matter is this is why they're not getting shit done.
Well, so real quick, this is classic Democrats. This is classic Democrat right here. This is what they do. They like to hold votes where they know they're going to lose something. That way we get everybody on the record. Yeah, great. And in their states, they're heroes for it, idiots. I mean, the Democrats, the Democrats are playing checkers.
That's right. That's right.
It's a sad game that they play again. It's like, hey, call all the bad words.
I don't like them. I don't like Mitch McConnell, brother. I think he should be gone. But I got to say this. Mitch McConnell plays chess. These Democrats are playing checkers.
Dude, he plays Parcheesi. He's playing a completely different game by himself. And again, he's got so much power, nobody can mess with him. And that's my biggest beef there. Again, I feel like if these people felt like their job was on the line, things would be different.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. And this is why I want to be on this show. This is why I want to grow this audience so I can tell people, hey guys, you don't have to vote for fucking Mitch McConnell again. We need different blood. I am a freaking conservative. I am a registered Republican. I am more of a libertarian than anything, but we need new blood.
And you're a real libertarian, by the way, as libertarian as they come. I have all the respect in the world for you as far as that, because then again, you know what I always say. I like people to be consistent, and I know I'm a little mean at times when I say people are stupid, but again, you got to know what you know, and if you don't know something, go ask an expert. That's all I'm saying, right? Just get the information. And that's right, dude. That's my other problem is I sometimes people who don't know what they're talking about. This upsets me when they're doing it about sports, and it's no different with politics or with anywhere. I hear somebody flapping their gums, and it's like, oh God, everything you're saying is not true. Not true to me, because that's not a real thing. Facts are facts. I like to point that out. Facts are facts.
That's right.
You can look up facts. I'm not saying opinions are wrong. Don't assume someone's stupid because they disagree with you. I don't. There's very specific things that I think make somebody stupid. If you have facts and information and you ignore it, that's a stupid person. It just is. Okay? You can disagree with me on a lot of things, and I will happily debate you and hear you out on it. But if you don't have the facts to back you up, you don't have a point to make, and I don't have to respect a point that's illogical.
So, Joe, you and I, we agree on about 35%. I'll give us 33. We agree on about 33% of politics, right? The other 66% we disagree wholeheartedly on, right? Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
People have seen us go back and forth all the time, but you know what? I know that you don't mean it personally. I know that you're not saying, Jimmy, you're fucking stupid because you believe it. I know you're not, because you're attacking me personally, and you don't do that as a human. You're a good guy like that. You're attacking the notion that if you don't know what you're talking about, go find out. And if you don't, and you're going to repeat if I sit here and say, look, guys, I'm Irish. You can look at me, guys. I'm 100% Korean. It doesn't make it right? It's just, if you don't know, you don't know. Go find out. No, you're not Irish. You're Korean. That
So-
doesn't make me stupid.
Ready? Can I tell you a funny story? I was listening to the radio yesterday, and I heard a commercial, literally from the CDC, reminding people that they should get their COVID vaccine. And I thought, who is this message for? They don't trust the CDC. That's a problem. It's a credibility issue. Okay?
right.
I'm not trying to
That's
encourage
right.
people to get the vaccine. I don't really care what people do. I honestly don't. I don't believe in the mandate at all. But my point is, and this is what I always say to people, go to your doctor. Tell your doctor you don't want to get the vaccine. If your doctor's like, yeah, cool, don't, then don't get it. And I don't care. And I'm cool with it. I really am. I'm pretty sure your doctor's going to be like, you should get it. And then you should get it. It's as simple as that. That's what I mean. If you have questions about your health and you went online and you didn't talk to your doctor, I won't say it, but I think you know what I'm thinking in my head about that person. That's not a smart move to make.
It's not. Yeah, it's not about it's not about the people. It's all about decisions that you make and the choices that you make, right? Like I have a great friend of mine, right? One of my best friends in the whole world. He's a non-vaxxer. That's his decision. I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's a bad person. I'm not going to hang out with him on Christmas dinner and him and his family. Now his family's already gotten COVID, every one of them. So maybe, God bless them, and they survive. So maybe they're good to go now, and maybe they have their antibodies, but they're still contagious, you know. But here's the thing, Joe. People are finding out now. People are reading now that you can have all three and still get COVID. You can get boosted. You can wear masks and still get COVID. Joe, really, honestly,
Yes, this is one of the worst viruses that you could catch. And this new version is super contagious. Imagine if the potent one and the contagious one, if that merges into something, then we would all be dead, and quickly, because some people just didn't get around to reading what everyone else read 8 months ago. Get over yourselves is my point. You can be wrong sometimes. It's okay. Don't disagree with people. Oh, you're a baby. Stop being a baby, people. There's no reason to be. It's not personal. When I say you're stupid, I mean
the point.
I am not challenging people's IQs. I'm saying you're ignoring actual evidence. The science is there to back all this up. Everything Dr. Fauci says bears out. It does. It does. You can read all that for yourself. I don't need to tell people that. I don't want to have to tell people that. I think it's idiotic that we're even having this discussion.
I only care about what people do for the betterment of all of us. It's not an individual thing. It's a collective thing. It's always been this way with me, Joe, and you know it. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And that's the way it needs to be. All right. So in this instance, am I saying go get the freaking vaccine? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm telling you to do that. As a libertarian, I'm saying, but if you don't want to, don't.
Yeah.
That's your decision. Just live with the freaking consequences and the ramifications, right? You can't drive 150 miles an hour on the highway because there's consequences and ramifications. So everybody drives the speed limit, or supposed to, but there is a speed limit. This is no different, guys. There's going to be consequences coming down eventually. I don't want them. You don't want them. I know that. But there are. So we need to start making smarter choices, not political choices, not screw you choices, guys. We need to make intelligent choices for ourselves. Stop. We need to stop this politics is what we really need to stop.
By the way, I do care. Yeah, I do. That's why I'm doing a show. I think this stuff's important. I think we need to talk about it. I get upset.
Joe cares.
You're right. I shouldn't call people stupid. It's wrong. But again, I get frustrated because, and I've had this conversation with so many people, dude. I'm like, dude, just go talk to your doctor. Like, find out for real. If you're allergic to the thing, don't get it. Like, of course not. Obviously. If it's going to have adverse, if you're more prone, then don't get it. I'm fine with that. But when I say, "Oh, have you talked to your doctor?" I'm like, no.
I ain't gonna
So
do that.
you
I don't
read
need to
this
know. I don't
online,
need to talk to anybody.
right? Great. Now,
Okay, guys.
let's talk
Because you're
about
a
crazy conspiracy theory stuff online, because this is, to me, let me tell you something. My wife for Christmas bought me and her sister and my brother-in-law a masterclass course, and you can take as many of these master courses, and one of them happens to be taught by Hillary Clinton, where she talks about being a success, how to deal with success, strive for success. And the backlash from her being on this thing, even though Bill's also on it, there's all sorts of big names and celebrities. And for some reason, people are like, what a loser she is. What does she know about being successful? That's a little insane. Again, it goes back to all this talk in 26 that she wasn't qualified. I mean, 8 years as senator, 4 years a secretary of state. So, yeah, there was experience. You don't have to like Hillary Clinton, but to say Hillary Clinton didn't have any experience or doesn't have anything to talk about is wrong. Anyway, Hillary Clinton's done. This is a person, James, who literally is hosting a masterclass and is being bombasted by it by a lot of people, including people in her own party. Obama signs a Netflix deal and everybody signs up for Netflix. Hillary does this and people are like, she's done. She's not coming back.
So I've been watching the news more and more lately about specifically trying to find Hillary news, just to let you know. Oh, for everybody out there, I hate Hillary Clinton with a passion.
Wait, are you the 10% watching CNN?
I think so. I do. I turn it on occasionally just to chuckle. But I think she belongs in jail. But I also think she is now. A week ago I thought, I'm like, she's gonna freaking run and she's gonna win. We're done. But now I think she still might. I'm saying I'm gonna predict it. I am predicting that she does. But right now she's just out there testing the waters because they know. And this has got to be a very, 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 very bad sign for Democrats. That if Hillary Clinton is testing the waters to see if she can come back and run again, that's a bad sign. I'm sorry, guys. That's bad. But I think, and I'm calling it right now, she's been on the news. She's been hinting at it. She's been smirking here and there when she's been asked. I think she's going to come. I do. I hope not, but I think she's about to come back.
What specifically makes you feel this way?
Just some of the phrases
would this video clip help me understand where you're coming from?
I've been trying to find this one video clip that she had an interview with. What the hell was this guy's name? I don't know. My freaking internet is killing me.
See if you can dig that up. Let's play this here clip that you sent.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee.
This is about the
and you can have the election stolen from you.
What? What the fuck?
An illegitimate.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
That was dirty, James. That was dirty. I'll give you that. That was definitely dirty. Yeah, I will tell you this, James. I'm definitely not okay with the accusations that were made against Donald Trump with Russia. It's a fact Russia attempted to intervene in this election and was a proprietor of fake news. I believe the amount of money spent was the equivalent of $77,000. Now, here's what people are try to minimize. $77,000 in ads on Facebook is an incredible reach. That is an incredible reach. And there's a good chance that if you're watching this, you came across something that was Russia financed. However, here's what we do know, James, that whatever Russia was doing, they were doing on their own. That meeting at Trump Tower with Junior and company, where they were talking about adoption, I always had supposed that Don Jr. just didn't know what the hell the Russians were talking about. I kind of thought that. Like, would he even know about any of that stuff? I don't think he
I
did.
thought that's what everybody assumed. I thought everybody just assumed that John
I think
Jr.
he
was full of
literally
shit.
was like, I don't know what this lady's talking about. And the meeting ended. And I think some of the underlings may have tried to conspire with Russia. I just don't think they didn't, or the evidence would have been there to prove it. But yeah, and again, we talked about this last week. I really do think, and I haven't heard anybody talking about this. I don't know why. But I do think the FISA courts need some serious reformation. I think that's something we definitely got to look into, because I don't like that. You know, I never said Donald Trump wasn't my president. I certainly questioned that election and the election results. And again, here's what we found out. Not a single vote was changed or in any way tampered with. Same as the last election. So we are running really secure elections.
So
one side,
that's my
hold on.
point exactly.
But
we
because we did,
just said it,
because
right?
we did, James,
don't need to change it then.
James, these bills are in response to what Ron DeSantis and Brian Kemp did in their states. And it was based off of the bullshit Trump said. This is a tit for tat. This is a tit for tat. This is a stupid tit for tat. They didn't.
You're right. You're 100%.
They didn't.
Tit for tat. They did.
It's a tit for tat. It's stupid. I can't even believe it that this day and age, again, these are the battles that our parties are having.
And it shouldn't be. It's a freaking crime shame.
It's insane. It's like we have so much better things we could be working on, and we can't even agree on, again, just voting rights. We just want people to vote. We just want people to vote.
We can't agree on a goddamn wall, Joe. Wall. We can't agree on a wall. You expect us to vote on amendments?
That's what I'm saying. This is a problem.
No
That's
way.
why that. And so again, you asked me why the show's called Divided We Stand. We can't agree on anything.
Love it.
But, and I think the important thing, the lesson really to be learned here, James, is despite the fact that you and I agree at a 33% clip, we like each other. We spend a lot of time together. Man, we have a lot of conversations about this stuff, and no one's feelings have been hurt. And no one's called anybody a name.
That's how you learn, right? This is how we learn. This is how I learn. I learn stuff all the time, Joe. You know, and I go out and I'll research and I think some bitch was right.
I love factual information. It really does. Again, I don't consider myself a super smart person, but I like to read and I like information. And sometimes, like I said earlier in the show, I find information that goes against what my thoughts were initially. And I can change my mind. I could be like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I rushed to judgment, and I'll change my mind. And I would just say to people, it's okay. It's okay to do that sometimes. If you're going to do your own research, get your research from a legitimate institution. Okay, that's important, especially when it comes to people's health, especially when it comes to your kid's health affecting my kid's health or your health affecting my health. I want us to all be able to have dinner in a restaurant again someday in the future. That'd be nice. It would be nice. It'd be nice to be able for people to be able to sit there and do. I mean, James, you must remember the 90s when we could make jokes about our races. We could make jokes like that, and everybody just laughed.
Oh, my God. The great old days of comedy? Old days of comedy.
Listen,
that's right.
The politically correct movement has done a number. I don't even know what side those people are on. I feel like they're their own side, that small group of people, because everyone's fed up with that nonsense.
I found some stuff online here, she's been giving interviews, she's done interviews with The Hill, she's actually done interviews with Bill O'Reilly, Fox News, and a bunch of other people. And all she's saying is, if Trump runs again, it'll be the end of democracy. That's what she said. She has said that a number of times, right? Which she said prior.
He's the next Hitler. It's another Holocaust. People are so stupid. Stop
and
that.
This is what's telling me, like, she's going to be like, no. And she's going to put herself up as the only one that can stop him. She's already planting the seed that he's the freaking most horrible person in the world again. We're already gearing up towards that. And it's not even 2023 yet. We're already gearing up towards that. It's the end of democracy. That's she said. Trump winning 2024 election could be end of democracy, says Clinton.
By the way, I got to give a quick shout out to Laura McDonald. So the person who's been commenting all along, Laura, I don't know why your info's not showing up. I had no idea who I was yelling at. It's our good friend, Laura Rodriguez McDonald. That's who that was. And thank you, Laura. I appreciate you chiming in. We got to have Laura on here. You would love her.
She on my side?
You would love Laura. She is very much on your side. Yes. And I am going to talk to her. And I do think we should have her on because I think it would be a rather fun discussion. Laura, thank you so much for commenting. I don't know who I thought I was yelling at. I definitely thought it was a dude. How's that for you? It just said Facebook user. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all like
anyway.
I didn't know who it was either.
I feel better. Good. All right. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. We will be back next week. Listen, I love the idea really of more tackling topics than covering the news because the news is like 75%. I'm just never sure what exactly is going on. And unfortunately, if you're not following up on the news 6 months after it happened, you'll never know what actually happened. I'm finding that out more and more. That's what the mainstream media is. Most of the corrections aren't the next day. They're like 8 months from now, after all their investigations turn out to be false. I got a big problem with that. I really do. And as I said, and I always will, I'm going to call out bullshit whenever bullshit happens. That's all I can do. James, thank you so much for another awesome episode. Look forward to
God
next
bless,
week again.
everyone.
All right, find some great topics to delve into. Make sure you visit us on Facebook. The show is called Divided We Stand News Hour. You could also find us by visiting clovercrestmedia.com/Divided We Stand. There's a ton of really great podcasts, 44 in all, including Ivy League Murders. You can also tweet at me at Podcaster Joe. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment like Laura did, like a maniac. I absolutely love that and do appreciate it. That'll do it for us. We'll see you next week on Divided We Stand.
Bye, guys.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut.